We are using vague names intentionally, except for the very specific people we are talking about. Everyone else's names have remained sort of cancellation of anyone from communities that need their voices heard. We understand that, as marginalized communities, we have to fucking tread lightly because everyone else's allyship is fucking transactional for us. We have to tread lightly, and that fucking sucks for us. It still feels like oppression. But we're doing it because we have to. We're doing it because we need to make sure that the people who are involved by like proximity are not, catching the strays of this. They are still very important. They are still very valid. They still need their voices heard. That's why we're being big.
Oh my goodness. For people coming in asking why are we doing this, we've already gone through a lot of the stuff. I know if you're new here, I'm so sorry. Just pay attention and you will hear more context. We can't repeat the same story 10 to 20 times over and over again with every new entry of a guest. Respectfully, we will give the best possible context to you that we are capable of doing. But for right now, please just listen and it'll all come to you. So another thing that I wanted to address really quickly is that during the the rise and fall of Olive's Garden 1.0, what a disaster that was. It was Jack, formerly known as Jonah, Small Titty Goth BF, and Eli and Grace and myself. It was this big explosion of mess. That's not necessarily relevant to what I'm about to say. What is relevant, however, is Eli was present a couple days before Jack got into the States. Eli was there for me to support me because he saw how anxious I was upon Jack's arrival. Rightfully so. If you know anything about Jack, he lied about cancer, he lied about childhood trauma, he lied about his father's unaliving, he lied about this, that, and the third, like all these different things, right? So Eli, as my best friend at the time, came to my home state and stayed with me for a couple nights. And that's when everything that I was talking about prior had transpired. With, him being at my IRL best friend's house, with her girlfriend and myself and the four of us having a great time. Everything incredibly fucking consensual, by the way. No sign of non-consent. And he said that to me and I said that to him. Which doesn't even matter anyway, because nothing even happened. But regardless. So he was there, and I will give a softcore W to him and Grace for finding out information about Jack. Because they did research, and Grace is very skilled at finding information about people on the internet. Which is why I am so shaky and, I don't necessarily know if they are in the realm of doxxing. I don't know if that's something that they would do, because unfortunately I don't know them at all. But Grace and Eli know a metric fuck ton of information about me, almost as much as you can possibly know about a person besides their social. They know my mother's home address. They know my dead name, full government name. They know literally everything you can know. They know my hometown. They know my friends. They know this, that, and the third. So I am treading lightly, because if they do feel the urge to retaliate, that's something that I have to consider. And this shouldn't be a retaliation situation. This should be a healthy, productive adult conversation. Unfortunately, it is not, because they are not here to talk to us. It shouldn't be, oh my God, you hurt my feelings, I'm going to put your information on the internet. No, it should be hey, let me come up and address specifically the BIPOC people with the harm that we've done and the weird, shady shit that we've done. And unfortunately, this could have also been an email. This could have also been a fucking email. I have reached out to Eli for the past several months in concession with no response. I call him, I text him, I Discord him, this, that, the third. You could have talked to me privately, and here we are. And don't tell me it's because you don't have spoons. I don't want to fucking hear that shit no more. Don't do it.
Spoons for everyone else and everything else, but you don't have spoons for us. Like, what is that? How come it's only spoons for you? But you don't have, like, why is your fine china and your good silver tucked away for everyone else except the people that you said you cared about? Make it make sense. Also, tap the screen, y'all. Let's get some likes up. Let's get some shares. Let's get all this good shit. I want him to hear this. And I know he's listening. Come on. Come play. It's all right. We're just trying to have a fucking conversation with you. That's all. Come on. Come on. Come play. It's a very kind panel. I know you know this because you spent so much fucking time with us.
Yeah, we were your favorite people. Somebody said, are Eli and Grace diverse people? No, they are both Wahite. One is a man. Eli is a man, Wahite man, and Grace is a Wahite woman. She claims the status of cis-ish, whatever the fuck that means. And yeah, I can respect exploring your gender identity, but I cannot respect very obvious patterns of being a chaser. Anyways, it's very much mirroring Jack and what he did to me and you and others. By the way, Grace cheated on Eli with Jack, in case anybody didn't know that. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, no, they are not very diverse. They are YT people, and they are to some degree, well, not to some degree. Eli is a trans man. Grace is also, I don't know if she's, I think she identifies as lesbian, but now Eli identifies as pansexual. I haven't kept up considering I don't talk to them anymore. I don't know what their identities are in the queer community currently, but they are marginalized in the queer community, but that's about it. Yeah.
For people in the chat asking, how can you cheat and also be poly? If you do something without the consent of the other person, if you do something without the consent of your partner, one way or another, if you don't address it with communication, and then it is done in secrecy with no intention of being honest, that's fucking cheating. That's cheating. So, yeah, it's about transparency and consent. Exactly. It's E&M, ethical non-monogamy. Ethical.
And guess who?
But of course, if you're not an ethical person, you wouldn't know that.
Guess who she cheated with, chat? None other than Jack Connor Smith of Sydney, Australia.
Sydney L.
Yeah. So here we are. Why do y'all still support Artemis? That's not the topic of conversation. Also, I don't talk to her.
Artemis.
How many months late are you? What?
Literally.
I was in Isaac, one of my favorite people's panel today, conversing about trans and queer topics. I have said nothing about Artemis in any space. Like, can we not bring her into this? She has nothing to do with this. I don't talk about her. Let's not do that, please. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, chat. I'm saying Wahite because you can't say WHITE. So just bear with me with the TikTok language.
I guess mine happened not too long ago. If y'all were there for the call out of a certain creator who used harmful language against the trans community, you likely saw what my issue is, and that was the white savior riding in and erasing my identity in a very clear attempt at pandering to a community. And pandering is the wrong word. I don't like that word. I'm going to take that back. Pandering's the wrong word. What is the word that I'm trying to look for, y'all? He wants proximity to this community so bad that he would run over anyone else to get it. And I, very admittedly, I will say this out loud, I use AAVE, and it was wrong of me, and I am working on the deconstruction of that. I am taking into account all the different uses of AAVE that I have in my vernacular every day, because it is a constant struggle and work to make sure that you're deconstructing the colonial mindset. It is constant work. I will never be done. Not ever, not ever. I will constantly be working on this. So that use of AAVE was harmful. I will admit that. I received education at that point, and I was incredibly grateful for it. Mookie is one of the best human beings on this app. I really, truly believe it. She gave up her time to give me that education. And I appreciate it every day because it put me on a path of deconstruction on a way that I didn't know I needed. That said, it should not have come from a white man's mouth. It should not have come from him. I am not white. Thank you, me Maria. It's infiltration. Though I'm not entirely sure what that's in context to, but it seems like the proper word. Anyway, he came up on the panel to tone police me and said that I, as a YT presenting person, even though I do not move through this world as a white presenting person, and I know that this is gonna get so much shit, and I fucking hate talking about it because racial ambiguity is fucking rough. It is rough. And there's a lot of people in here, and I know that I'm gonna get fucking, I'm going to get raked over the coals for this, and I'm okay with it. I accept whatever it is I will receive for this. But I am not white. I do not present white in this world. When people look at my profile picture and they're like, yo, well, you're a white person, that profile picture is very specifically chosen because I lost my dog last year. He was my soul dog and my emotional support dog, and I have not been okay since. But I am Middle Eastern. I am from the Levant. I am a child of the diaspora. And I know Middle Eastern is not a race. I get it. Middle Eastern's not a race. Well aware. But I'm also not white. And when Jules was up on Ollie's panel just a few bits ago, because I fucking forgot that I said this to them because I was distressed and crying my eyes out. But after that, I went and I said that I don't feel brown enough for the brown spaces or queer enough for the queer spaces. Middle Eastern people have been erased. We've been demonized and erased. The reason I have a platform on this app is because I have spent the last year and a half, more than a year and a half, translating for Palestinians and Syrians in active WAR zones. I have had people that I have translated for be unalived by the occupational forces. I now am the vessel that carries their stories. I now hold the history of family names that have been there for centuries. And it's a big, big weight. I don't know what to do with it because for the last year and a half, I've been in a stage of ego unaliving that I honestly haven't been able to pull myself out of. A lot of people are like, do you ever sleep, Geeky? Do you ever sleep? No, I don't. Because when I go to sleep, I hear the sound of the drones. When I go to sleep, I hear my friends crying while there are explosions going off so close to them that it hurts my ears through my headphones. I've lost people that I have spoken to and gotten to know. And And that's just what I'm doing here on this app. In my everyday life, I don't present white or wahite. I don't present wahite. If anything, I am one of the little brown eggs at the supermarket, not one of the little white eggs. I came from a little brown chicken, not a little white one. We're talking about chickens, TikTok, little white chicken eggs. That was not me. I'm one of the little brown chicken eggs. And the number of times, like, I've been fucking profiled so many times that I can count on one hand with 4 fingers left over the number of times I was able to pass through the airport without being searched. And the only time it was when I was rocking this haircut that I have in my profile picture, which was my faux hawk, because apparently the Tias getting on the plane can't have short hair. That's what that felt like. But, like, I joke with people all the time. I know I'm on watch lists. I'm surprised I'm not on a no-fly list. That's the kind of shit. Like, my family, my mom was displaced in 1967 from the Golan Heights. My grandfather's considered a war hero, a civilian war hero in the Middle East because he helped evacuate some odd 20 families from the Golan Heights to Damascus. I do not get to exist in this world white. But a white man thought it was okay to come up there and tone police me. He felt like he had the right to do that to me. He looked at me and read me incorrectly. And then, and Isaac's not here, but Isaac came to me and apologized for this. I was on Geeks Live when Eli went up there to try to clear his name. And I called him out for calling me white. That resulted in me having a fucking call out live against me, run by them, calling me a white person and erasing my identity further. I didn't even fucking mention that in the last fucking live that we just had and we came from. I had a fucking call out live against me, y'all. Because apparently I'm lying about not being white. I had to exist in America post 9/11. I was 15 years old. I was in high school. We learned to walk in pairs so that we would be safe. Because we weren't. The Middle Eastern kids, they're the hijabis. I'm not Muslim. Mashallah, I'm not Muslim. I'm not a hijabi. Like, thank God for that at that point, because I would have been even more targeted. Like, I acknowledge my privilege there. But, like, I lost my language for over a decade. My mother tongue. The tongue that that gave me a platform here. The language, Lughal Arabiya. I lost my language for over a decade because it was not safe for me to speak it outside. My mom straight up told me that. Do not speak Arabic outside of the house. It is not safe. I sat there and watched over and over and over the footage of what happened on 9/11, and then afterwards I had to hear names that sounded like mine read out and called theists, and then after that, sorry, I'm trauma dumping. Yeah, I'm so sorry. If anyone wants to stop me, please do.
I was gonna say, Geeky, if it's okay if we have this conversation, like offline about all this stuff, I do want to keep this centered to the current conversation, if that's okay.
100%. He came up and fucking tone policed me. Called me white. Said that as a YT presenting person, I need to mind my tone. This shit's recorded. I guarantee y'all can find it. But he came up there and did that.
Are you talking about the live whenever he was getting called out?
No, the live before that. The live where he was getting called out, I ended up getting called out, and they spoke about him not at all while I was up there. He scapegoated me so fucking hard. That's why I keep saying I'm done being used as a brown shield. Come take accountability, Eli. Because you used me as a shield. And I need you to fucking reckon with that.
Isaac said...
Clear, you don't look white. You do not look white.
I do want to acknowledge, though, I think it's also important that you can be Middle Eastern. Like you said, it's not a race, it's an ethnicity, and you can still be racist. So I think that's still important to note while we have these conversations, as you are not. All of you, everything that you said is valid as far as your feelings and what you go through, Geeky. But I think it's still important to acknowledge that that you can still absolutely be racist. Anyways, so let's.
It is something that I am still deconstructing, because as a non-black person in this country, that is something that I'm inherently born with. Like, it's something I'm constantly going to be working on. So, from now until the day I draw my last breath, that will be something I'm working on. I can fully acknowledge that.
All right, and all of you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Basically, the way I boil it down from a Wahite perspective is that anybody that is not black is racist, specifically towards black people. Inherently, like you said, Geeky. It is obviously your job to do the deconstruction for the rest of your life. If it's something that you actually give a fuck about, you will continue to do that. Which, I don't know, maybe this live, to get back on track for a second, maybe this live would be a good place to do it. Because there have been a multitude of BIPOC individuals, not just black people, but also brown people and indigenous folks as well, who have expressed deep concerns surrounding these two, specifically Eli, I suppose. But this would be a great place to start to kind of, work on that. I also want to bring up the story that I told about the whiteboard situation, but I want to give space for other people as well. I have to be at dinner by 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. It's 7:45. I have a little bit of time, but I do want to touch on that again. If anybody wants to speak.
I want to address Succulent Survivor. I don't know who that is. A great place to start would be acknowledging that you're main friends after that. I don't know who they're talking about.
No, I do. 1,000%. And I would love to address that. I actually said this earlier in my live. 1,000%. You are right. 1,000%. You are absolutely, without a shadow of doubt, accurate. 100%. I remained friends with Eli after learning that he was participating in a microaggressive panel while I was asleep. I maintained that friendship because at the time, in my eyes, that friendship was so important to me that it superseded the shit that actually fucking matters. So yes, Eli was called out for anti-blackness and you all remain friends. Correct. Yes. 1,000%. Okay, context. There was a panel with another creator who is not here. I don't think, I haven't checked the viewers. They were on panel. This person in question had done some things, which we don't have to rehash the story of what actually happened with this creator, because it's irrelevant. But they were, at the time, I believe, because I still don't have a clip of this, they were the only black person on the panel. The rest of them were Wahite or Wahite presenting. I didn't learn about it until I woke up the next day. And basically it was just everybody dogpiling this one black creator. That's microaggressive as fuck. The entire thing was shit. And I am a part of that by proxy because I did not, I didn't either defriend or call it out appropriately. I let all of that just slip through the fucking cracks. And so when the rest of the friends of the Black creator in question went live, who were also Black as well, were holding panels, they were requesting for Jack and Eli to come up on those panels to discuss what had transpired. Did they go? Of course not. Of course fucking not, because they're not here either. I went up and spoke to these people on their behalf and apologized for the words and actions that I didn't take. That wasn't enough. That wasn't enough of an absolution. But I tried, and I do apologize that I just didn't, yeah, it was fucked up. There's nothing else to say. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. And I said this earlier on my live as well. It's actually so selfish of me to have even gotten to a point in these friendships or these relationships where the only thing at the time that mattered to me was how they were impacting me and not others. That is incredibly selfish as well. Why does it have to be the end all be all when I am the one that's being hurt and not others in these situations? That is also fucked up. I can't unwrite it, but I just have to move forward doing better with that. I just don't understand how I'm a tiny itty bitty baby creator. We can have these conversations and hold each other accountable as one wahite to another, but you are nowhere to be found. We can hash this out. We can talk about it. And even better, you can talk to the BIPOC people that aren't me. You can talk to them too. Please. Because I know you're watching. You guys got like 47 backups. Come on.
In chat.
Lex, I don't know if you're unmuted on purpose or if you just have your mic, if you muted your mic or not. Or if Sam or anybody else wanted to speak. Cloud.
I did have my hand up a while ago, but if anybody else wants to go.
You go? No, go ahead, Sam, please.
Oh, no. Yeah, Sam, go ahead.
So I remembered something in the context of something that we talked about earlier. So there was the Eli support group that me, Ali, Lex, and someone else was in. And when the infamous thumbs down tomato cat with an L on its forehead was sent, he changed the name to just support group and then left. And I just think that's so fucking funny. Cause like I don't know. It's just so fucking funny.
Gives the same energy as removing someone off your MySpace top 8.
Yeah, basically. Well, and I mean, that's essentially what he did was he took that and then like never spoke to me again. Just like took that as that's the rest of the entire friendship. There's nothing left to speak about at all, and just literally never spoke to me again. So I sent him a very nasty message way later. But yeah, like I guess we weren't useful to him anymore. I forget what else I was gonna say, but like what a piece of shit.
Real quick, who was muted?
Somebody that said somebody said LU for being friends with the racists. That person was muted. I'm guessing just for the fact of maybe keeping things cordial, but don't mute anybody for calling out that specific thing or just racism in general. I don't think that the person that muted meant any harm by it, but let's just not do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I would prefer to have comments like that. That's the whole thing, right? Surrounding these people as well. I don't want a W. I don't want coins. I don't want followers. If you're gonna L me in chat, it's probably warranted. continue L'ing me. Because that's the entire fucking point of these conversations. If I deserve an L, I learn from that shit. Please. It's I'm not yelling at the mod. I'm just like I'm yelling more so at the hypothetical Eli that is nowhere to be found. You don't have to be so defensive all the goddamn time. Wahite people are so fragile. If every single black, I've said this a million times, if every single black person on the face of the earth hated me and thought I was useless and insufferable, I would still continue to do the things that I'm trying to do on behalf of them. You don't need likability. You don't need fucking likability. For fuck's sake.
So let's get back to Eli's and Grace's behavior. Even though I know that they are also, I know that this conversation goes to racism because they did racist things. But let's go back to the topic at hand. So, is there anything else anybody wanted to say?
I will say that they are unicorn hunters. Polyamorous people will understand. They're fucking unicorn hunters. They are. I'm gonna go ahead and say that Eli front faces because conventionally handsome white dude or whatever. And then as soon as that happens, suddenly there's a Grace there too. The one does not come without the other, but it is never fronted that one comes with the other.
You might have to explain what that is, or do you want people to look it up?
Yes. Unicorn hunting is when a duo looks for a third that will participate with both. So essentially, they are looking for the unicorn is the person that doesn't exist. The person that is so mythical and amazing that if you find one, you never let it go. Unicorn. It is incredibly harmful because once again, it often goes back to racism. The unicorn hunters often look for specific kinds of people and try to bring them in, and it is a power dynamic of the two of them and the one of you. That is one hundo what they do. Because once again, Eli, I will say this. Eli first started flirting with me because he heard me translating for a Palestinian on Olive's life. That is what he used as the first, like, hey, how's it going type thing. I had just gotten out of a 4.5-year relationship. My bitch ass was vulnerable. I got dumped and it sucked. There was a lot of vulnerability at that point, and admittedly, I did not disclose that to them because I was like, fuck it, I'm being flirted with. That feels awesome. But it now having it pointed out to me, it feels like a fetishization of them immediately coming to talk to me because they heard me speaking Arabic and thought it was sexy. And admittedly, it is. It's fucking hot. Polyglots are hot. Whatever. But for it to be Eli, like, talking to me, and then suddenly there's a Grace there as well. Like, you know that Dwight Schrute meme where Angela just pops up next to him and he's like, that's what it felt like. And it is not something that I thought of at the moment. It is something that I think of now, and it felt gross, and it is often perceived as unethical to be a unicorn hunter in the poly community. So don't do that.
All right, and then I did want to go to Cloudcat, and then I think Lex is back, so I think maybe Lex after Cloud.
I said in the comments, Jack was also a unicorn hunter, which at the time I was unaware, but now looking back on things, that's exactly what he fucking was.
I want to have a conversation with you about that privately.
Yes.
Because there's a lot to unpack there. Also, when we bring up Jack, formerly known as Jonah, that was his alias. He is relevant to this conversation because a lot of things that transpired with Eli's behavior also stemmed from Jack as well. Like that whole era in my life personally, and a lot of other people's lives as well, was incredibly toxic and fucked up. So when we bring him up, it is so interconnected. It's so interlinked that it's just, yeah, it's bad.
Basically, three very skilled, and I hate using that word, but that's kind of what it is, skilled manipulative people who are very good at how they went about manipulating all of us. There was a group of us. Like, this touches so many people. Um, some of us more than others, but regardless, I mean, I can see it in the comments, people being absolutely thrown by the fact that Eli has done these things and said these things and treated people this way. Because, yeah, on the surface, he presents as I'm gonna say white savior, but basically, yeah. Um, Further touching on, kind of call back to Isaac being called an abuser. I was also part of that situation, being called an abuser. It is clearly very different, though. Myself as a white person, the magnitude of Isaac being called an abuser versus me being called an abuser, those are two different things. Regardless, same situation of, at least from my end, all I did was try and make Eli accountable for slander. They were, and again, I said this last time in the other live, hindsight is horrible. Slander against Jack, hindsight knowing that Jack turned out to be a fucking terrible person. Um, but even with that being said, what Eli was doing, what Eli was saying was unacceptable. And because I tried to hold them accountable for that, I was labeled an abuser. Um, which feels not correct to me. That's
Yeah,
not the right word.
I think this the amount of times that Eli uses the word abuser
Yes.
in the incorrect way, especially against black people,
Yeah.
is again not only racist but harmful and waters down when people use the word abuse and abuser. So it's really important that we don't just throw around those words lightly at all. And so I think that's something that's really, really important.
Yep.
That you don't do
You've
that,
nailed
especially
it.
not to a black man at all after you were already called out for racism. And centering yourself in black spaces already to then turn around and continue and say you want to be better than turn around and call a black man an abuser is ridiculous and disgusting and
Yeah.
racist.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and Flutter, I see you too, that he does throw that term around very loosely, which I think is incredibly irresponsible. Just like you said, AG, and others have said the same. Honestly, that's why, when it first came to my attention, I water off a duck's back. It did not mean anything to me because of how he uses it so loosely and inappropriately. And also with the situation that was at hand, what had transpired, it was incorrect. Now, I'm not saying that Eli's potential feelings, I don't know. As somebody who has RSD, I personally can take in a situation and it feels so much worse than it actually turns out to be. And this is not me making excuses for Eli at all. I'm just throwing that could be something there. I don't know. And I'm strictly speaking from my own RSD experiences. Olive, I know you also have RSD, and it is awful. It is a horrible thing to deal with, and it's very difficult to deal with. Regardless of all that, RSD is rejection sensitivity disorder. It's often a comorbidity with ADHD, autism, neurodivergency. Um, it's yeah, it's a lot, but still, I there's nothing that would have stopped Eli from still not throwing that term around. Like, it's still, oh, dysphoria. What did I say? Disorder?
I
Dysphoria.
said the same thing earlier today. I said the exact same thing. I
I'm
said
so sorry. Yeah. The correction. Yes, please. So, the other issue quickly, other people have touched on this already as well, is the time that Eli kind of expected everybody to give him, the time, the energy, the spoons, whatever you'd like to call it. Um, but there was no give and take within friendships. There was no Eli being the shoulder to lean on. Although he often professed he was that. He would say, lean on me whenever you need. I am here for you. I am your rock, what have you. But when that time came to actually be leaned on, he was nowhere to be found. And for a lot of people who were hoping to be, what's the word? Get peace from him in their time of need, that was very kind of shattering for some people. Like, you said you would be there for me and you weren't. And it was almost worse because it was like ghosting behavior. There wasn't just sorry, I can't do it today, I don't have spoons. It was just ghosting, which is so much worse. So, and I know a lot of people were affected by that because he did it very often.
like if you don't want to be there for us, don't say you're going to be every single day.
Exactly.
It's
That's
okay
all
if
it
you don't.
takes.
It's okay if you don't have the spoons, right? I just think over
Yeah.
promising and under delivering. Like
Yeah.
as someone who has autism, I understand that. Like, but just be honest rather than over promising and trying to be everything for everybody everywhere all at once. Then you just come off as disingenuous. But it's okay if you can't be that. Nobody's expecting you to be that. But if you want to be the voice in the face of this community, then show up or don't show up at all. Because again, I'll say it for the 50th time, this community is very fragile. It takes you to take down and make the entire community propaganda on this app. It just takes you to do that. That's why it's so important that the people that we uplift, the voices we uplift, aren't just shitty. They're not just anybody. That's why we praise the people that we like and we've moved out the people we don't.
Exactly.
Lex.
And I'm done now, so yeah, go for it.
Okay, but Lex, you had your hand up, and then it'll be, I think, Olive, I don't know if you had your hand up first before Yama, but...
No, it'll take like 30 seconds. I just want to say I have not muted anybody in this chat, the entirety of the chat. I don't know what.
Yeah, neither have I. So any mods, don't mute anybody that's talking about racism, otherwise I'll unmod you.
I just muted the guy who came in screaming about Riley Gaines being pregnant.
Oh, I blocked that guy and muted him too. You're good. Yeah, that was just a troll. You're good. Let's see. So Lex, you had your hand up a while ago.
A couple things. Sorry, I was away from the live when some of the stuff about panel and Eli and racism particularly was being spoken about, but I just want to clarify a couple things and personally apologise. At the time of, I believe, I don't know the entire situation between Katie and Eli, but when Eli was previously called out, if I'm right, for racist microaggressions, I was not friends with him. Didn't know the situation, was friends with him after, and then stopped being friends some months before he was called out by Geek and the panel, and then further called out on another live on Covey/Athena's live by Katie again. I wasn't there for that live, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened, and then he was told to open a live after, and he didn't, to address what Katie was saying. However, actively within the friendship, I did not call out Eli centering himself in black spaces. I was not looking out for that, and I should have been. I actively should have been, as someone who is YT presenting. and who is inherently racist should have been doing that work to be actively anti-racist. And so, truly, very, very sorry for not actively seeing it and having rose-tinted glasses on and not spotting it sooner till I did after. But yeah. And then, if I'm right, does anyone know, because I wasn't watching that live, I heard about it after, what he was called out in Athena's live?
Unfortunately, I was at work and I had a sneaky AirPod in while bartending, but I probably could only give a spotty description. So if anybody else wants to summarize. I don't want to like give a shitty description and it not be accurate at all.
I do not. I was not there, and it was not recorded either. So I honestly have no idea. If anybody does on the panel, that'd be great. But I do not know.
Embers is saying it was for that live that had been about KT. Okay, yes, but I also still can't elaborate because I was making my service well was so full I could not listen as accurately as possible. But yeah.
I don't know. I think
I think the dissociation hit hard. Just to clarify something in the chat, when I said what I said, and I'm going to repeat it because I know that I was wrong saying it, I did not mean, thank God I'm not a hijabi post that time. I meant that because I was friends with the hijabi girls. We walked in pairs in order to stay safe. I saw what they went through, and I said that I was privileged for not being hijabi. That is what I meant. I would just like to clarify that. I have nothing but respect for my Muslim brothers and sisters and the hijabi women who go out into this world with so much less privilege than I have. I need to clarify that. So yes, it was disingenuous and harmful what I said. I apologize. I was speaking from privilege.
Maybe we want to summarize anything for anybody that's been joining. Lex, you do a really good job of summarizing. If you want to speak, Lex. Just about how
anyone else have anything else to add?
Oh yeah, true. Yama, you had your hand up a while ago.
Also, if anyone's watching and has been affected and would like to come up onto the panel, the requests are open. It's not set to the 6 or 7 of us here, so please feel free to, because there were some messages about that. So if you would like to come up, please take the opportunity to now.
I just wanted to touch on that ghosting behavior that Eli does and has done to several of us. Another thing that I know that he's done to a few people, and it's not okay, and it's to touch on what AG said earlier as well, in terms of like he uses the word abusive way too easily. He would make promises to people to like talk to them. Oh, I don't have the spoons right now, but we can have a conversation soon. And then a couple days or a few days would go by, and then you follow up. Hey, checking in. Do you have time to talk? Have that conversation, etc. Sorry, I got a phone call.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And then they would get like, at some point, it would turn into, I'm setting a boundary I don't want to talk to you anymore. And that person would then be called abusive as well for just following up, trying to talk to Eli about a conversation that was promised to be had for lack of spoons.
Also, Yama, because like the past couple days have kind of ran together, did you touch on the indigeneity piece of all this?
I was also going to bring that up too, yeah. Because I think I spoke about that in the other live, but not this one. Eli was pursuing an indigenous person before Olive. And when they were asking questions about the indigeneity of said person, proceeded to search for borderline sexual photos of that indigenous person's, their people, their tribe, etc. I don't know the correct verbiage, so but their people, and that's how it was worded to me. And then proceeds to sexualize the indigeneity and indigenous people. So this behavior of sexualizing people of color in general is a pattern that is not, that's not okay.
This is so, like, it's exhausting for me who looks like this, so I can only imagine how exhausting it is for the people directly impacted in regards to whatever your hello, I can't speak, race, or ethnicity is. Like and that's the thing that I was talking about earlier on my live. I was like, the two of them now have new tokens. They have new tokens. So, oh my god, Megan! Hi, Ambers, hello. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. What didn't Grace do, Brayden? What the fuck didn't she do? That's the problem. Sorry.
Hi, everyone. I was not planning on coming up originally. AG, thank you for hosting this space. I know we haven't spoken before. But I know that in my specific situation with Eli, I was not perfect. I know that I lashed out due to my RSD and due to my mental health being absolute trash at that time. It's not an excuse, but it was a really, really bad time for me. And there were certain things that had occurred in Olive's server with somebody that I was trying to talk to Eli about, and it was sorry, I'm kind of nervous. I was trying to reach out because Eli had been close with this person, and my mental health was again trash. It was awful at that time. I hadn't been at that place in a long time, and haven't been back there since. But I was one of those people that Eli promised a conversation with, and said, literally, I have nothing planned today. I'm completely open. And I'm here for you. But as soon as I told him what was going on, he completely ghosted me. And there were other things that happened I know that I wasn't perfect. I don't remember. I would have to go back and look at the screenshots, but I know that I reached out. When I have anxiety, I tend to over message. People who know me know this about me. And I try to fix the situation and figure out what I did wrong. But unfortunately, at that time, he decided to cut off contact with me, and I lost some by choice, some not by choice, because I feel like I could trust people. I'm sorry if this is not coming through to everyone as being coherent, but I think the people who have been involved in the situation kind of know what's been happening or what had happened.
Sorry, I want to say something real quick. RC was just blocked. You racist fuck. I fucking hate you. Sorry. Anyways, continue.
Oh, no, you're good. But yeah, so it then began to be this thing where he started saying that silence is a boundary. And I personally vehemently disagree with this. I know that some people disagree with me on this, but not everyone knows what you mean by silence. Nobody knows, not everybody knows what that silence is supposed to entail or what the parameters are or anything like that. And so my mental health got really, really bad, not knowing what was going on, feeling like my brain was completely fucked. I got the closest that I have been in a long, long time, and almost a decade at that point. And this is not wholly because of. It was not wholly because of what happened with Eli. Eli was only a portion of this. However,
This needs to be trigger warning.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
self-deletion
trigger warning.
threats.
Trigger warning.
Whatever.
So yes, trigger warning. But yes, it's the closest that I've ever gotten to making that decision in a long time, or not ever gotten, but in almost 10 years. My parents knew what was happening. My sister knew what was happening. I almost had to go to a clinic. Thankfully, I didn't have to because I've been in one before and never want to go back to one again. I did not tell Eli at that time what was happening and how bad it had gotten. I did not tell him until 2 months later when he and I hadn't talked for a while, hadn't actually interacted. He decided to message me the night that Olive's Garden 1.0 went up in flames and apologized to me for what was happening in the server. We had not had any conversations. He had never owned up to anything that he had done. He had never cared about how he affected me. And I was more than willing to take accountability for any ways in which I had hurt him. And I'm still willing to do that. But he messaged me apologizing. And at first I thought it was for what had happened, and it was for what was happening in the server instead. It was to paint himself as a good character with what was happening in the server, but I just was not interested. And at that point, I told him how bad it had gotten with my mental health, and he told me that it was very manipulative of me to tell him, even 2 months later, how negatively he had impacted my mental health. I was not threatening it. I was not, telling him I was going to do it. I was not saying anything like that. I just said that's how bad it got back then. And at that point, he told me that I was using a manipulation tactic and that I was gaslighting and abusing him. And that was the last conversation we ever had. I know that it's not the worst situation, but for the specific circumstance that I was in at that time, the specific mental health that I was in, that he was well aware of how poor my mental health was, not in relation to him, but how poor it was in general at that time. He has yet to take any accountability. So I'm sorry, I will not drone on anymore, but I appreciate being able to talk, and I appreciate you holding this space, AG, and I appreciate all of you on panel. I love you too, Yama. I miss you, and I really think we should talk soon.
Well.
Just to real quick add to what Ember went through, because Ember and I talked a lot during that time about what Eli was doing to them. And I'm sorry if I interrupted Olive, by the way. But it was more than that. Eli not only did that in the private spaces of their DMs, but whenever Ember would come into spaces that Eli was in and Eli was modding, Eli would make sure that Ember was removed from that space, isolating them and making like that was not okay either. Like isolating someone just for asking to talk to you about something you said you would be available for is fucked up.
Before we move on from this particular topic of conversation, does somebody, I don't think I have God mod anymore. Can somebody big screen me real quick?
You have God mod?
No. Okay, so this is probably going to be similar, maybe not exactly the same, but very similar to what Ember went through or whatever. So some clarification is all. What is the juxtaposition? Oh yeah, I can try my best. Give me a little bit to get myself together for the day. Keep in mind, I said this on my live. Nobody owes me time or space or spoons, ever. It doesn't matter who you are. You don't owe me shit, even if you're one of my best friends. And my best friends know this because I very rarely have spoons. However, when you commit yourself to certain things and you say that you are going to be there and you reassure someone that these actions will be taken, especially people that you're advocating for, especially in the queer community, especially when you are this massive creator, well, not massive, but like big enough, you kind of have to stand on that, right? So he said, also before I do that, I'm sorry, Olive. I will elaborate on the things I'm specifically sorry for separately, but I want to at least set the tone and give you that. I said, thank you. And then I said, this was like days or hours later. I said, I hope you're having a good day at work. I'm finally home from Orlando, which, by the way, don't try to DOXX me. I am very far from Orlando. Okay. With that said, why is this important? Could this have been an email? Yes. We also have to consistently acknowledge that when you are in these spaces and you take on this role and you do it every single day, when you do this to a multitude of people, it is harmful, hurtful, and completely counteracts the mission that you are verbally speaking to individuals that you are claiming to do. Okay? It doesn't make any type of sense. And this is somebody who was my best friend. Keep in mind, he never responded to me after this. This was one of our last conversations. This was one of our very last conversations. You can take me off big screen. I don't like looking at myself. Sorry. Thank you. I don't think I can do it myself. Otherwise I would. Thank you.
Is it okay if I go next?
Yeah.
So those who know me well should know how much I do not want to be up here right now. But I want to speak to Eli and Grace as a side contract, but really to Eli. And in case, on the off chance, Eli, you're missing this, I'm recording my audio only so that I can remember what I said because I have a terrible memory. But I will be unfriending you. But I want to make it absolutely clear that it is not for anything Olive or Lex or anyone else has said specifically. It is because this conversation has made me fully realize that I am complicit with this, that I ignored the racism that I was witnessing from Eli. And to those who were harmed by that, I am so sorry. But yes, that is why. It is not because I am taking someone's side over yours. It is not because I'm believing one person over another. It is 100% to do with the racist actions and behaviors and other harmful behaviors I have witnessed. And with that, I will drop. Thank you.
We love Megan. I love you, Megan. Also, Megan, when I say this, I know you're not. I know you're not going to take it personally. But I do just want to say, in regards to not only the racism but the schmexual deviance and strange behaviors in that regard, I highly recommend everybody listening to please believe people who are involved in these types of things. Believe people when they tell you that they have been put in positions, of uncomfortability, whether it be like minute or severe. The story that I'm not even going to tell again because I feel like a broken record as per usual, that is a situation that I cannot fathom when it comes to Grace. I don't know how somebody sets up a manipulative tool or tactic to that severity in good faith, although it makes sense considering that Jack and Grace cheated on their partners with each other. So, checks out. But yeah, I would really love if they would just move somewhere together and move in together and be together because it would make the most sense. So.
Fo, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, a tiny bit. It's a bit of a short one because I don't remember it all, but Eternal did remind me of it. Basically, I was also one of the other people that Eli did promise to talk to or be there for whatnot. And basically what happened was, I can't remember if it was another server or one of the servers regarding some people here, but I was feeling overwhelmed because there was a bunch of issues with other people, and then I basically did a body doubling thing or something like that in a call, to which Eli, Grace, and a few others were happy to do so. And so that happened, and then I was opening up because my dad had just passed recently at the time. And then we got a conversation about it, and yeah, Eli was like, yeah, you can talk to me about it whenever you want, that kind of thing. It didn't really go it didn't get any further than that because I was still grappling with the passing of my dad, as I wasn't to be fully open, I wasn't close to him for most of my life, only up to last 5 years. So it was kind of a shitty thing, but it was just kind of. I mean, again, nothing much came out of it between me and Eli, thankfully. But I was one of the many that he promised. Yeah, Isaac, yeah, gets Maddie sometimes. But yeah, it was one of those kind of things as well.
Do you mind me asking, because this is an interesting thing now that you brought this up. Were you and Grace, and you don't have to answer this necessarily, were you and Grace like close friends? Did you speak often? Were you close?
We spoke, at least in terms of like for me, yeah, we spoke quite often. But we didn't speak that much because I think everyone can notice that I don't talk to that many people on outside of TikTok. So like there's like a handful, if not like two people I have to speak to like most days. And like with Grace, we spoke like every few weeks, but wasn't anything too deep for the most part. Anytime we did interact, it was on a server we had, for the most part.
Sorry, I was responding to Claude, but the only reason I asked is because after everything that transpired with Jack and Luna and that situation, and Maddie, etc., Grace would like literally like audibly sob and cry about you guys like disconnecting. Like she would just take any chance she got to talk about how broken she was that she lost you, which, by the way, I understand. However, I just didn't really realize that, like,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
because from the moment me and Grace started to know each other, we did have like a bit of a flirtatious thing. We never really put a label on it, but we did like flirt with each other from time to time, quite consistently. I'm gonna lie, I thought we did it for like banter. It wasn't actually. I don't think it was anything. I guess important. Like I don't think it was much of that. Because it never really moved past that. And then obviously she started going out with Eli as well, which was whatever. So yeah, I don't think it was that much. Oh God, the words escaping me. I don't think it was just like anything deeper than it felt. But yeah, no, that was it for the most part.
Oh my God, there's so much. Okay, again, for sake of myself, those involved, AG's platform, and just basic human decency of not divulging too many personal details of people that I don't even like anymore. Don't know why I'm still doing that, but here I am doing it. Fuck. I'm going to potentially, once I get back from my birthday dinner for my friend tonight, maybe host like a VC in my server if we want to discuss further things. There's several other things, and I know you guys are watching and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about because you're watching. There's a couple other things I want to discuss, but I want to make sure I run it past my closest people first to make sure I'm not completely out of the wheelhouse of what I should be discussing. And I don't mind hosting this tomorrow after work because I'll be unbananaed on Maine tomorrow. For now, I guess. But there's a multitude of other things that I wish I could say confidently right now because I know people are coming in and out of chat. People are here. People are confused, and you want more substance. You want more context. But I just have to run it by people first to make sure that I'm not crossing certain levels of boundaries. If you know, you know. So, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to divulge before we end the live?
I'm good for now, and I appreciate you running this and furthering the conversation. Because again, like you said, this is incredibly fucking important. We have people with huge platforms who take on the weight of the world seemingly on their shoulders, and they're completely different behind closed doors. These are conversations that absolutely must be discussed.
Yeah, if Eli would ever Not so sad, but I don't know. I just hope that for everybody that's watching, Eli is performative. Eli is a grifter. Eli is harmful. And harmful in BIPOC spaces shouldn't be in any BIPOC spaces. Again, Juneteenth centering themselves once again. We've seen this. They center themselves everywhere. This is a huge issue. And I think it's a bigger issue with the fact that they just literally won't come up and speak at all when they make themselves the face of our community, and then perpetuate harm, and they refuse to hold themselves accountable. So I think it's really important that we take care of that and hold them accountable as many times as we can. But yeah, Lex, did you want to say anything, or Sam, or Nina, before you guys drop, or Olive?
I'm all good. I'm all good.
Good, thank you though.
Yeah, thank you again, Angie. I appreciate this. And I will be putting, once I get home from dinner, I'll put more context and information in my server when I'm home. So,
Lex, no, we can't hear you, Lex. Appreciate you, Olive.
Okay, I'm going to get food.
Lex, I don't know if you're fixing your thing. I cannot hear you. Lex, are you there, bruh? Okay, I got you.
I don't know what's going on with my thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my thing. Just wanted to add, literally in terms of the summary, predatory, both of them, predatory, unicorn hunters, and manipulative and highly emotionally abusive towards those close to them. That was it. But thank you for holding the space, AG.
Absolutely. I can hear myself. Yucky. I don't like that yet. But yeah, anyways, if you guys are not following Lex or anybody that came up, shoot, what was I gonna say? Yeah, if you don't follow Olive as well, Olive is really close to Eli. If you guys want receipts for things or more understanding of what happened, especially if you came in later, yeah, you guys can go follow Olive. The 1% that passes. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. And yeah, remember to hold people accountable regardless of what community you're in. I think it's really important that if people are the voices and faces of your community, that you should hold them accountable. Yeah. Y'all take care. Appreciate you, Sam, by the way, for hanging out, and for staying.
Oh shit, sorry, I was not looking. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I said sorry, I wasn't looking. I didn't know everybody had already left.
No, it's okay. I'm glad. Thanks for not leaving me up here alone. Appreciate you.
Hey, I got you. I can stay till you end it if you want.
You're good. I appreciate you.